Angela Flournoy's 2015 debut novel, The Turner House, has received many accolades and literary award nominations, and it was chosen from 162 submissions as the winner of the 2016 VCU Cabell First Novelist Award. She'll receive that award this evening as part of an event that will also explore how this book came to be and to be published. We're pleased to welcome Angela Flournoy to Virginia this morning. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Cheryl.
You're very welcome. The Turner House is your debut novel. You're going to be talking tonight about how it came to be. So tell us, how did it come to be?
Well, it really started in 2008 with a house that my father grew up on the east side of Detroit, where he's from. And I had just visited this house throughout my childhood, and it was the first time no one was living in it. All of his siblings were older, and they'd sort of moved away. And I started to think about who might want to live in this house, and it was the first character that really came to life in the book, and that's the youngest of 13 Turner siblings.
And it's interesting because it's called The Turner House, but at its heart, it's really the story of a family.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The more I talk to people, especially as I get older and my friends' parents age, the house is really the center of so many family memories and conflicts and agreements, and sort of all of the emotional life of a family can be tied into this building. And so there's no way you can really talk about a place and a city and a neighborhood and not get into all the other things that come with being part of a family.
And one of the things too is it talks about kind of the flight of African Americans from the South to the North in the 50s, and then also what homeownership meant to a family at that time, an African American family, because it was such a struggle to be able to buy a house and have a house and turn it into a home.
And it's funny, I teach writing, so I talk to my students a lot about the importance of early research. I had no intention to talk about housing and the history of housing segregation throughout the country. But the more that I researched about early Black migrants from the South to the North to Detroit, the more I realized that it was amazing that any of them achieved home ownership, because there were so many obstacles, both on the federal level and then just on the community level, to them really integrating into these neighborhoods. And so I realized that I had to kind of tackle that too in the book.
And that's what made a house so important to a family as well.
Yeah, and it's something that is why people kind of against odds or financial, prudence, they still want to hold on to it, because it was something that a lot of people told them that they would never get.
Now, in your story, The Turner House, you've got this family, large family, but the focus really is on the oldest sibling and the youngest sibling.
Right. My father is the fifth of 13, and I have big families on every side and a couple adoptive families. So I was really interested in what it's like to be one person surrounded by all of this history and all of these expectations. And so I thought if I started with the oldest, who's 64, and the youngest, who's 40, you really get to see that from both sides, what it's like to be the baby and what it's like to be the second patriarch of the family.
How long did it take you from the idea of the book to the publication of the book?
It took me 4 years to write the book and 5 years, so an extra year before the book actually came out.
And then, as we mentioned, it came out to wonderful accolades from a lot of different people. Obviously, an author expects that or would like that to happen. What was it like for you when it actually happened?
I really didn't expect it. I just hoped that I would be able to, off the strength of this book, write another book and sell it and maybe get a job teaching. I had very low expectations, and so every day is really just a pleasant surprise. When I see people in the airport bookstore picking up my book, I don't tell them that I'm me, but I'm just surprised that they're picking up my book. And it's just been a pleasure and a delight. I've traveled all over the country and some places internationally with the book, and I never expected to do any of that.
Has the reception been different for a national audience versus an international audience reading the book in response to the book?
Certainly, I think that there is a way, for better or worse. For me, I think it's better because it fosters conversations. When you go out of the country with a book, especially a book that's set so much in a particular time and place in the country, people see it as a microcosm of American life. And so they do think that what your characters in the book are doing are what Americans are doing, which of course there's millions and millions of us, so that's not true, but it's a good opening of a conversation to talk about the differences in family and home ownership. And I was in Australia for a month in August, and they also have, they call it sort of part of the Australian dream, but home ownership is very high up there as far as how people see themselves as successes or not successes.
This was the debut novel. Are you working on or have you finished a second novel?
I wish I had finished it. I'm working, and I realized it's one thing you sort of, on your second book, you learn just what sort of writer you are. And I realized that I am a writer who really likes to wade through the research. I don't have an idea of what's going to happen until I read a whole bunch of books about what I'm thinking about, and then I can make a decision. And so I'm very much in that stage still of early just researching and trying to see what's like shiny and interesting in there.
And you're coming back to the Turner House tonight for this event at VCU, and people will get to find out more about how it started and how it gets published.
Yes, hope to see you.
Well, thank you so much, Angela Flournoy. Congratulations. The book is called The Turner House. The 15th annual VCU Cabell First Novelist Awards is tonight in the Cabell Library Lecture Hall on the campus of VCU. The free program begins at 7. They do ask that you pre-register. If you'd like to get more information, we'll post a link on our show website. Just go to WTVR.com/VTM.